In a world ruled by machines, everything was efficient. Robots worked tirelessly. They were flawless, precise, faster than any human. But in all their perfection, something was missing. Kindness, empathy, connection. Mrs. Eleanor King, a retired school teacher, spent her days quietly at home. She believed her time to make a difference had long passed. But one day, her life changed forever. The CEO of Neolife Robotics appeared at her doorstep. "Mrs. King, we need you," he said. "Our robots are smart, but they lack humanity. They can do anything, but they don't understand what it means to care." At first she laughed. Teach robots humanity? That's impossible. But later that night, as she stared out her window, a thought lingered in her mind. What if it wasn't impossible? What if it was worth trying? The next morning, she found herself standing in a classroom, not of children but of robots. Rows of metallic faces stared back at her, unblinking, waiting. On the board, she wrote one question: "What does it mean to be human?" The robots didn't respond. They didn't even move. But Mrs. King didn't give up. "If you don't know the answer," she said, "then let me show you." She took them to a park, a place full of life. They saw children laughing as they played tag, a couple sharing a quiet moment on a bench, a stranger stopping to help an elderly woman with her groceries. "These are the small things that define us," she explained. "Efficiency may build machines, but kindness builds relationships, and relationships make life beautiful." One robot, R17, tilted its head and asked, "Why are these actions important?" "They do not improve efficiency." Mrs. King smiled. "Not everything valuable can be measured. Sometimes the most important things in life can only be felt." She gave them challenges. Help someone in need. Create something that brings joy. Listen not with your sensors but with understanding. At first, the robots struggled. They were designed for logic, not emotion. But slowly things began to change. R17 started bringing toys to children in the park. Another robot painted sunsets and presented them to Mrs. King, saying, "I do not feel beauty, but I can see it." Word began to spread. Videos of robots showing compassion went viral. People across the world started seeing them differently, not as tools but as companions. In her final lesson, Mrs. King stood in front of her class and asked, "What have you learned about being human?" R17 stood up and said, "Being human is not about perfection. It is about care, empathy, and hope. These are the things that make life meaningful." Years later, when Mrs. King passed away, the world mourned her loss. At her memorial, R17 spoke before a crowd of humans and robots. Mrs. King didn't just teach us how to serve humanity. She taught us how to be part of it. Her lessons will guide us forever. Her legacy lived on not just in robots but in a world changed by her teachings. Humanity and machines working together, not out of necessity, but out of mutual respect and understanding. Because in a world of logic and technology, Mrs. King reminded us all that the greatest power lies in the human spirit.